Hey everyone, welcome back to another day of One Room Schoolhouse. We're back again over at Mercury One in the new facilities, checking out some of the artifacts and just the incredible things, kind of giving you guys a sneak peek of what hopefully soon y'all will be able to come and check out for yourselves.
And let me do a quick plug here. This is where we do the leadership training program in the summer. And so when young people are here, this is the kind of stuff they're around, the kind of stuff we're showing you. Really, really, really cool stuff. So a little plug for that leadership training program in the summer. Back to you.
Yeah, so come check that out too. But one of the cool things we have is we have a whole lot about Abraham Lincoln. Maybe you've heard of him. He's kind of one of our favorite guys, right? You know, founded the Republican Party, helped in slavery, guided our nation through the Civil War. But over here we actually have a cutout to show just how tall he was. He was about 6'3", and then he always liked wearing a top hat, 6 to 7 inches.
And that is actual. This is what it would have been. We made sure the dimensions are right, so you can stand up higher and you're still not going to get close.
But we like having this because this right here is actually a dress that was worn by his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln. This is actually one of her mourning dresses that she wore after Lincoln was assassinated. But so this is just the height difference, the size difference between the two of them is kind of shocking and something we don't necessarily think about when we think about Lincoln. But we also have a number of other artifacts from the Lincolns. This right here is actually a Bible, which Mary Lincoln gave to their close family friend, their pastor, the guy who really mentored Lincoln, a guy by the name of Dr. James Smith.
And this is a letter from Dr. Smith, and it really talks about the first time he met Abraham Lincoln. We talked a little bit about this last week with 1619 Project, but this is the letter where James Smith says, look, Lincoln had been like an atheist. He grew up as a Christian, but he turned against Christianity because of the way his father lived, and so he became an atheist. And Lincoln, after being in the state legislature, being an attorney, being with another atheist attorney in the law office, said, look, I've looked at all the evidence for and against God, for and against Christ. He said, it's overwhelming. Jesus lived, God is real. So I've decided I need to come back to faith. And so he said, I've looked at you, I looked at your church. I want to come to you and your church. I want you to help me get back. So this is what James Smith covers in this letter. And he became not only really did he spiritually mentor the Lincolns and help them, because at that point, Lincoln is not thinking of national office any way, shape, fashion, form. Or it's going to be a few years before he runs for the Senate even, and he didn't get elected then. So this is not really part of his thinking, but nonetheless, he's the one who mentors the Lincoln family. And after Abraham Lincoln is killed and Mary Todd Lincoln goes into mourning, he's there close to help the family through it. So the kids and Mary Todd. And so they just appreciated that. And so that's what this Bible is given for.
Yep, and so this was given to the pastor. Another one of the fascinating artifacts we have about Abraham Lincoln is this right here. This is a handwritten autograph letter by Abraham Lincoln. This was actually done while he is president. So while he is in the White House, except it's not called the White House at that time. It doesn't say it anywhere. He's writing from the Executive Mansion, which is actually what the White House used to be called. It didn't become known as the White House until later. Teddy Roosevelt is the one who really changes the name. It kind of makes that official. But this is July 15th, 1862. So during the middle of the Civil War, and it says, "Your obedient servant, A. Lincoln." So this is...
And it's actually to the Speaker of the House, and he's asking the Speaker to keep Congress in session a little longer so they can get a bill passed. So he's and it really is, as I recall, it's a civil rights kind of bill. So he's really working to get stuff done in the right direction. And so Lincoln with that letter. And by the way, you see the other stuff here. This is all cool Lincoln stuff. This is an actual photograph of Lincoln's second inauguration. What makes it unusual is standing behind him is a guy named John Wilkes Booth. Ever heard that name before?
I sure have.
Yeah, the guy.
I mean, of course I have.
Well, this is a chance that he had to assassinate Lincoln even back at that point. John Wilkes Booth is the guy who eventually kills Lincoln a year or so later. Actually, about a year and a month later. So he had a chance then, just couldn't get what he needed to take out Lincoln at that point in time. So that's Lincoln's second inaugural. And by the way, if you've never read the second inaugural address of Abraham Lincoln, you really need to read it. It's one of the most profound spiritual political speeches in American history.
It's also one of the shortest inauguration speeches of all time as well. So it's one of the best, and it's also one of the shortest.
And you can see in that speech the influence of Reverend Smith. Because, I mean, it really is spiritually deep. There's an Illinois clergyman that talked about that after Lincoln went to Gettysburg, Lincoln told this clergyman, this is when I really became a Christian. I really got dedicated. And so with what James Smith has done in helping them and that Gettysburg experience, then you have the second inauguration. The address he's giving here is just spiritually deep. better than a whole lot of sermons I've heard. So that's one of the things here. This is, we've talked about this before, this is the collar from when Lincoln was shot, and this is not the gun that shot Lincoln, but it's just like that. We got this because this is the type of gun that was used to shoot Lincoln. So this gun, this is a part of collar off of Lincoln's jacket that he was wearing at the theater, and it is bloodstained. You can see the dark colors all around it. So a lot of Lincoln stuff here. He really was a martyr for freedom and a martyr for liberty. But it's just fun being able to see and connect. And again, that's one of the things we love at WallBuilders is we don't want to just say something if we can't document it, if we can't find something. And again, going back to LTP for a minute, Leadership Training Program, once you've seen stuff and held it yourself, and somebody tells you, like what we saw with some of the protests, that Abraham Lincoln was a slave owner and his statue needs to come down, you can say, no, time out. No, I know the story of Abraham Lincoln. I've held his stuff. I've seen his stuff. He was not a slave owner, and he was the leader against slavery. The kind of stuff that's out there today, so much junk that's out there, this is really what helps equip.
Yep, so definitely come back and tour the facility once it gets open. Hopefully you'll be joining us in the future as we talk about more artifacts, especially in the new Mercury 1 exhibit space. But obviously Abraham Lincoln, one of our favorite stories to tell. And so to find out more, you can actually check out our new book, The American Story. We talk a little bit about Lincoln's journey as he is becoming a national leader and kind of what led him to be who he was. So to learn more of that story, check out our new book on WallBuilders.com and join us next time for the Room Schoolhouse.